Okay, I'm going to begin, Liam, just by saying, I mean, there are a few filmmakers in the world quite like Martin Scorsese. I mean, what was it like collaborating with him on this project?
Well, I had worked with him on Gangs of New York, and I was just reminded of how the eclectic range of subject matter. He's, you know, if you look at his body of films over the past 45, 50 years, it's extraordinary, you know. And this Silence was very much a passion project of his. Some bishop of New York gave him the book in the 60s. And it really got under his skin. I think the main character that Andrew Garfield plays, Martin seemed to totally relate to the doubts this character was going through, the quest of searching for God. Really struck home to Martin, you know. So he's it took him nearly 30 years to get the film made.
I mean, he sounds like he's something of a perfectionist on a movie set, quite meticulous in the way he wants things done. Is it one of those situations where you appreciate working with him more so after the experience? Because I guess during it, it's probably actually quite, not tiring, but you know, it's all about getting it just completely spot on. So is it more, does the appreciation almost come post the shoot?
I suppose that's an interesting question. I mean, he's, in one sense, he is a perfectionist, but when you're working with him, he allows you, he gives you this wonderful, he creates this space and atmosphere for you to do your best work, you know. And then at some point he'll come in after so many takes. He doesn't do that many takes. He'll come in and say, "I think I've got it," you know.
So I mean, you yourself were raised as a Catholic. I mean, does this film studies the notion of what it means to be religious and our own relationships with faith, and like you said, any kind of doubts anyone might have. I mean, do you think your own relationship with religion was partly why you got involved in this project? Was that something that interested you as well?
Oh, sure. It's. I was brought up Irish Catholic and quite staunch too, and was an altar boy. The way Martin was an altar boy when he was a kid, and was really seduced by the theatricality of certainly the celebration of the Mass with the vestments and candles, incense and stuff. I found that very seductive, and it seduced Martin too, you know. And it's so yeah. There's you know, I've always had an interest in these Jesuits, the Jesuit movement, Jesuit society. I did a picture called The Mission over 30 years ago in Colombia, where again it was Jesuits in a foreign land in the 1700s. So it was a subject matter I was quite keen on, and I was glad to get the chance to explore that again and work with Martin, of course.
I mean, your character is arguably sort of the most important in the film, but obviously he's not in it the whole way through. It almost reminds me a bit of Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now. That kind of, we hear about him almost more than we kind of see him. I wonder if
those are the best parts.
They are. I was going to say, yeah, but can it be a challenge to really kind of have that kind of imprint on a movie when you're not in it as much, perhaps?
Listen, I love parts like that. You know, you come up and you do 2 weeks' work, 3 weeks' work, and disappear, and then the rest of the film, everybody's talking about you. You know, those are the best parts.
And I mean, it sounds like an incredible shoot, but there was an earthquake during it. That must have been quite terrifying for yourself and all of the cast members.
Terrifying. Yeah. I was in a hotel on the 19th floor in the morning, and the building shook. I've been in an earthquake before in LA. For some reason, it was different. I got under a doorway, because they all say, get under a doorway. And as I was standing there in the room shaking, I thought, this is crazy. So I got my passport, went out into the hallway. And the hallway was going like this. I'm not exaggerating. And there was a little lady dressed in black who was the manageress of that floor. She was knocking on the doors with her clipboard, checking the rooms had been cleaned to the right perfection, all the rest of it. She turned and saw me like this, up against the door. And she said, no problem, no problem. I be here 20 years, no problem. That was it. But it was scary. And then, I think it was about 3 weeks after that, 4 weeks, the big one in Tibet happened, you know. It killed many, many lives, you know. We shot the film in Taiwan, and Taiwan's on a web of fault lines, you know, so they're used to these quakes, you know. All the buildings are built on rollers, so they're very safe. At least that's what they told me.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's much appreciated.
Thanks, man.
Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey!